I'm Leah.
I'm Jeff.
Today, we're going to talk more deeply about the 100 citizenship questions.
我们今天呢，还是要讨论这个美国公民考试100题的问题。
The question is, who is the father of our country?
这个问题是美国的国父是谁？
The answer is George Washington.
答案是乔治华盛顿。
But why is Washington considered the father of our country? Let's look at his life story a little bit and his role in the founding of the United States.
为什么华盛顿会是美国的国父呢？我们看一下他的这个人生故事，然后在这个建立美国中呢，他的角色。
George Washington was born in 1732 in Virginia. His grandfather had immigrated from England.
乔治华盛顿在1732年出生，他的祖父呢是从英国移民的。
The Washington family was wealthy. They owned land and they also owned slaves.
华盛顿的这个家族呢很有钱他们有这个土地，也有这个奴隶。
In the southern United States, the enslavement of African people lasted from 1619 to 1863. It's a cruel and terrible part of our history, and we should never forget.
在这个美国南方呢，这个非洲人被变成奴隶呢，是从1619年持续到1863年，这是很残酷的，而且很恐怖的这个历史的这个一个部分，然后我们永远不应该忘记。
When Washington was 19 years old, he inherited part of the family estate, along with 10 slaves. Later in life, he owned more than 300 slaves.
华盛顿是19岁的时候呢，他继承了这个家里财产的一部分，也有继承了10个奴隶。后来呢，他拥有超过300名奴隶。
At age 20, Washington joined the Virginia militia.
20岁的时候呢，华盛顿加入了这个维吉尼亚的这个民兵组织。
A militia is similar to an army, but smaller.
一个民兵组织呢，跟军队一样，但是不是比较小规模的。
At this time in U.S. history, we were still colonies, owned by Great Britain.
在美国历史这个时候呢，我们还是美国还是这个殖民地，然后是这个大英帝国的一部分。
The Virginia militia, therefore, was a branch of the British Army.
所以呢，这个维吉尼亚州民兵组织呢，也其实是这个英国军队的一部分。
Washington was promoted quickly to a commanding position.
华盛顿呢，他后来就被这个擢升呢，到后来就是到那个指挥官的这个地位了。
He fought against the French, who were trying to take over parts of North America.
他跟这个法国人作战，然后因为法国人呢想要攻占部分的这个北美。
Because of his success in the war, he became well known as a successful military commander.
因为他在这个军事上的胜利呢，他变得很有名，而且是一个很成功的这个军事的这个指挥官。
Washington married a wealthy widow named Martha when he was 26.
华盛顿呢，在这个26岁的时候，娶了一个很有钱的寡妇，叫做 Martha。
With her land and the land he already owned, Washington was now one of the wealthiest people in Virginia.
因为这个女方的土地呢，还有她自己的土地，华盛顿后来就变成这个维吉尼亚最有钱的人之一。
He was elected to be a representative in the Virginia government.
他后来呢就变成这个代表，他被选举成为这个维吉尼亚州的这个一个民意代表。
In his position as a legislator, he began to speak out against British taxes and British power over the colonies.
后来他在当这个民意代表的这个时候呢，他就发言呢，去这个反对这个英国的这个税率，还有英国的这个权利在这个殖民地上。
In addition, Washington was not promoted in the army, so this also made him resentful.
而且呢，这时候华盛顿呢，在军队里面又没有被这个升官，所以让他变得有点恨这个英国人。
He led protests against the British in 1767.
所以呢，他这个领导对这个英国人的这个示威，在1767年。
As rebellion against British rule began to grow, Washington helped train new militias to fight for freedom from English control.
所以呢，就是对这个英国的这个反抗开始越来越强的时候，华盛顿他开始呢帮忙训练这个民兵来这个为了自由来这个对抗英国的这个控制。
During this time, the Continental Congress was formed, which was made up of leaders from each colony.
那个时候呢，这个大陆的这个议会被这个组织起来了，然后各个这个殖民地都派这个领导者去参加。
Washington joined as a representative of Virginia in 1774.
在1774年的时候，华盛顿也代表了这个维吉尼亚州参加这个会议。
In 1775, the Continental Congress created an army. They chose Washington to be the commander.
在1775年的时候呢，这个大陆议会呢，就组织了一支军队，然后他们让这个华盛顿当这个指挥官。
The Revolutionary War began in 1776.
这个反抗这个独立战争呢，在1776年开始。
Washington led the army until the war ended in 1783 with victory over England.
他领导这个组织直到1783年，然后后来就是打赢了英国。
By then, he was famous in all of the colonies.
那时候呢，他就是所有殖民地中，他都非常的有名。
When the Constitutional Convention took place in 1787, he attended.
后来他也参加了1787年的这个制宪会议。
There, he was elected to be the first president of the United States and was inaugurated in 1789.
后来他也被选为第一任总统，在1789年宣誓。
Washington was president for 2 terms or 8 years.
华盛顿当了8年总统，两次任期。
During that time, he worked to set up the financial system in the United States.
这段期间呢，他这个制定了美国的这个财务的这个架构。
He also formed a cabinet, advisors that he appointed, such as the Secretary of State.
他也制定了这个内阁组织，然后还有顾问，然后还有就像这个国务卿。
He proclaimed Thanksgiving as a national holiday. On that day, instead of eating, he fasted and visited prisons.
他将这个感恩节变成一个国家的节日。那一天呢，他其实是不吃东西的哈，然后他去拜访监狱。
He also allowed slavery to continue in the United States and made it easier for slaves to be captured if they escaped.
他也让这个奴隶制度呢，在美国更容易实施，然后呢，也让这个奴隶呢更容易被这个抓起来，假如他们这个逃跑的话。
As the new government began collecting taxes, many citizens rebelled. Washington sent militias to arrest them.
当这个新政府呢开始征税的时候，很多人都反抗，然后华盛顿呢就派民兵去抓他们。
He continued to send armies to fight against Native American tribes in the West, pushing them further and opening up land for settlers.
他还是这个继续派兵去，跟那个美国原住民作战，然后呢，把他们往那个西面这个驱逐，让这个想要那个先来美国人有更多的地。
After his first 4-year term, he wanted to retire. He was tired of the political fighting between members of his cabinet.
在他前4年的任期呢，他想要这个退休，他已经很厌倦了这个他的那个组织的这个斗争。
However, many of his advisors begged for him to stay because they were worried the government might break apart without him.
但是呢，他的很多这个顾问呢，都希望他继续留在这个总统位置，因为他假如不在的话，这个政府可能会这个瓦解。
By this time, his health was not good.
那个时候他的健康很不好。
When he left office in 1797, he was tired of politics and wanted to live peacefully at home.
当他在1797年离开这个总统位置的时候呢，他已经很厌倦了这个政治，然后想要在家里好好休息。
Because he chose to retire after 2 terms, we now have a 2-term limit on presidents.
因为呢，他希望这个2任后可以退休，所以我们现在总统有2任的限制。
Washington died in 1789. Excuse me. We're going to edit that.
Yeah, we can edit that. Yeah.
Okay. Washington died in 1799. He was 67.
华盛顿在1799年过世了，他是67岁。
We hope you learned something from our video today. Stay tuned for more interesting background information about the 100 citizenship questions. Bye.
Bye bye.